Okay, so here we are in the WordPress dashboard for the development site, and Anna's currently editing the donate page, so we can't go in there right now, but I'll show you a little bit about the block editor in the home page. We've got some different sections in there, so let's go ahead and we're going to click on edit. And so this is just like kind of a rough overview on what we can do with the WordPress, the new 5.0 block editor, and some of its features, and kind of how we can make new blocks, how we can move blocks, how we can customize blocks if we want to add custom CSS, etc. So just real quick here, this first section, you see this little overline, essentially. This is the title of the page. It kind of depends on the setup for a specific site, if this title shows up on the page or not. For this site, I have it set up so that it is showing. You can see up here now, this is the permalink for the page, and that's essentially AKA the web address for this page. If we wanted to change this, we click in here. For all the other pages, it's going to have this same address, but after this slash, there'll be a trailing page title, either news, donate, finances, etc. If we ended up like copying an entire page and rebuilding it, we'd want to change the permalink for that page. And then the title that's in here is going to show up in the all pages listing, but we don't necessarily have to use that once we get to navigation. So when we go and customize the menu, we can actually change the page titles. And I believe I did that on the, what was it? Sanghata Finances, I think is the title of the page. I changed it to just say Finances. So that's kind of what's going on here. This, again, is the page title. So this is pretty critical to not mess with if you're editing pages, but that's where it is. This, when you kind of hover on the side, you'll see that this gray line here indicates this is one block essentially. But we can click on that and it's going to show us what type of block it is. So this is columns. This stands for columns. It's a columns block, and we've got basically a left and a right column. This little guy up here is pretty handy, block navigation. If we click that, it shows you kind of a breakdown of what we're looking at in this section. So we've got a column and we've got a heading. And if you want to click directly on that, it should key us right into the heading that we're working on. And this is kind of what I was getting at, like where the old version of WordPress basically had this kind of a little editor going on for the entire page. Now this editor is specifically for this block. Again, so this is the block navigation, and then we can go over to this column, and now we're on this section over here, column, excuse me. Then we go into the button, and we can then also go into the paragraph that's underneath. There's nothing in that paragraph. I'm going to go ahead and delete it and update the page. But so then you'll see here now, it's basically just this column has a heading and this column has a button. Under the button, I'd like to show you something here. This advanced right here is where we can add a CSS class. So that's going to enable us to target just this button and give it unique styling. That's really handy for overriding the colors and sort of actions that come with WordPress itself. We can go in there, and what I did is I changed, using this class, I changed I gave it a little bit of a shadow. I gave it change color when a user hovers over the button. So that's where we are adding our CSS classes. Over here, you can see I added the class over here of callout, and then styled this block according to the callout there. As you move down the page, we've got a paragraph, so we can click on that. And again, these little this is kind of like our little grabber, and we're going to call attention to this block essentially. But what we can do is with this is change block type or style. So if we wanted to, we could change this into a bulleted list, a block quote, pre-formatted. So if we wanted to have a section of code that a user could copy out of the site, we could change this whole section into a heading. So that's kind of handy for, especially if you want to copy and move a block around. Under this more options section, that's exactly what we can do. You can see here we've got our sort of left justify, center justify, or right justify for our text. But under here we can duplicate a block. So if you've already set something up and you've got a certain class that you want to use, you can go ahead and just duplicate the entire block, and then using our little grabber, for the sake of argument, let's go ahead and do it. But we'll go ahead and more options, and we're going to duplicate. So now we've got this same block twice. If this were simply like a headline and like, oh, well, let's move this down on the page, and then we could just click in here and change the headline to be something else. It's a great way to create consistent styling within the page. Like in the donate page, we have some different headings. I'm gonna go ahead and delete this. But under the on the donate page, for example, like this, I have so this is home news, but on the donate page, I have, I believe it's donate option might be the class name, and that's the title for each of the sections. So we've made um, cash, check, when it was there, wire transfer. Um, those were different options, but basically it's this same block that I would copy, I would duplicate that block and then move it to where it needed to be on the page. Similarly to making blocks like that, this block right here, where is it? Oh, that's in the column, excuse me. This block right here is a reusable block. So if we wanted to go, for example, we're going to make a new paragraph, and then we're going to make a new heading, and then another paragraph following that. Under our add block section, we can add reusable blocks. So I've made a couple already, board member profile, Anna, hello, and then a responsive spacer. So that spacer, because of the code I built in to the child theme, this spacer will be 1 rem, which is 16 pixels, 1 rem tall on mobile, but then be 3 rem tall on tablet and desktop. I've only made these 2 reusable blocks at this point. We don't have that much content, but adding more reusable blocks is a really great way to go, because when you want to add something, especially like the board member page, it was really handy to just drop that block in there. But otherwise, in our under add blocks, we can search for one if you know the exact name of it. But we've got paragraph, heading, and this is the most used section. We should probably go under here. But common blocks, we got paragraph, heading, image, list, a gallery. This isn't the best, but it works. A pull quote. We've got, if you want to just drop in a PDF, we could do that. Under formatting, we've got custom HTML, which there's quite a bit of this going on in the donate page. If you're not used to the new block editor, you can put in a block that's used edited by the classic editor. You can drop in code. We add short codes there if you're to add a widget to a page, which actually this is actually, is it going to highlight for me? No, let's do this then. Oh, it's latest post. This is a widget though. It's from layout elements. No, widgets. Yes, so that's from a widget. Latest posts, but archives. Oh, excuse me. Short code. That's where we're going to add our short code. But again, we're back here. Formatting. Oh, code. If we just wanted to add code, this I think is similar to um, pre-format, wherever that was. Maybe, yeah, this is if you want to have code on a page that someone can grab. That's kind of nerdy, but it's pretty handy if you're making a blog post about doing something like this. You say, hey, grab this code and put it in your site, and it will do X, Y, Z for you. We can add tables, pull quotes, etc. Layout elements, columns. So for example, this, again, we're going to get down to here, and we can use our navigation system, and we can see that I've added columns here. So we've got the first column has an image, and the second column has our widget, which is pulling the latest posts into a page. Otherwise, in adding blocks, get outside of there, everything is deselected at this point, but we can go into add blocks, and just for example, let's just drop one in here, but common block, we're going to add an image, and we can just grab one from the media library. This is one of the hero images from up top. We'll just go ahead and grab that and select, drop that in there. And then we can obviously get in here and edit our text down there if we'd like to. We can go ahead and move it up and down on the page. Down on the page, we can edit, oops, if we wanted to, but we can get into more options. We can edit it as HTML, so we could turn this thing into a link if we wanted to. Similar to these paragraphs also, we can edit these as HTML if you wanted to bold out a section, for example, and then we would just go back and edit visually, and you can see, oh, excuse me, turn something into italics, but we can go back, edit HTML. Let me go ahead and get rid of that. B would be the HTML for bold in there. And this is HTML5, which is also called semantic HTML, so it has more of a meaning to the way the page is laid out. But edit visually, and back to this. I just want to put these back to the way they were. Edit visually. This block, though, we're going to remove. Everything else should be back in order. But that is an overview on using the new block editor. And again, if you get on the side, you can do our little grabber thing. You can move things up and down on the page. This block, there's nothing there, so I can just delete that. And I'm going to update this before I wrap up this really brief tutorial, but you can see like over here is like heading settings because it knows that this is a heading block. You're going to have additional settings when you're inside of a block in the sidebar. So once we're on the button over here, you're going to have different settings, and these under block will change depending on what kind of item you have over here. So if we got into here, this is an image block. So now it says, hey, you've got an image. Here's our alt text that we need for anyone using a screen reader. We've got an option for changing image sizes. We've got a link to if you wanted to turn this into a link. We could use custom URL right here and have it linked to this post. And we can go into this post and, again, grab the, let's get out of here, grab, for example, the permalink from a post, and go in here and link to custom URL, and you just drop the permalink for the post in there and then update it. Or if this were going somewhere else, we could have it open in a new tab and send the user to a different site. So that's a really quick once over on what's going on with the WordPress 5.0 block editor. Happy learning, and I hope this makes sense. I didn't have a script for this. I just kind of went with what I know, but it's a really great system once you're used to it. I hope that was helpful, and let me know if there's something else you'd like to get a tutorial on. Okay, thanks.